Welcome to the Love Your Story podcast. Jessica Burrell and I are here for the second 15-minute life hack episode in November. Hi, Jess.
Hey, welcome back. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, quick explanation. November, we're doing a set of 3 episodes called 15-minute life hacks, the November nudges. Each episode's a quick reminder just of a life tool to inspire you, to help you connect with the world as you create your best life story on purpose. So these are just quickies. Today is week number 2, and we're all about cheerleading. This life hack is about being an encourager. Yay! So Jessica Burrell, if you don't remember, she's the owner of Amplify Your Vision, and she's been my co-host off and on all year this year. So we're tying up the year with these 3 fabulous episodes, and you get her wisdom. So come with me for this second quickie, and this one is about lifting as we go along the path of life. Stories are our lives in language. Welcome to the Love Your Story podcast. I'm Lori Lee, and I'm excited for our future together of telling stories, evaluating our own stories, and lifting ourselves and others to greater places because of our control over our stories. This podcast is about empowerment and giving you, the listener, ideas to work with in making your stories work for you. Story power serves you best when you know how to use it. When I started Next Level Training, that was my emotional intelligence training back in 2016. And that's also where I have met Jess through. I really had no idea what it was going to entail. I was there because a friend had suggested the training for my own personal growth. Many of you know that story. I am not here today to list all of the things I gained, but one of those things was a personal coach. And my coaches across the whole program, they not only called me out on my fears and my complaints, and they not only answered my hard questions, but they were also cheerleaders. And when I said it's too hard or I can't do it, they said things like, if you say so, which was, of course, the minute they did it, I automatically knew what they were saying, which was, it's up to me to change my own attitude. But when I was in the struggle to pull up courage, to face fear, to face the self-doubt that would pop up, they would also look at me with complete and utter faith. They would help me envision outcomes and create beliefs. And when I doubted, they did not doubt. Oh, my heart, Jess, isn't that like the most valuable thing ever when someone else can hold that space for you?
It's incredible. Like, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, Lori, but my vision for the world is that people see themselves the way that people who love them the most see them.
Wow.
So like, that's this. This is them seeing you brave and courageous and powerful in your leadership. They don't see the doubt. They just see you in your greatness. And my vision is that you start to see that, like, through those processes, you see that in yourself so much more clearly when other people start pouring into you like that.
Well, you know, when I was coaching at Next Level, I got to tell you, that's how I saw the people. Like I did. And sometimes they would be, you know, they would bring in their fears and they would bring in their insecurities and they'd be talking about what they couldn't do. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, do you see who you are? Do you see like what you could make happen here? Like, you're incredible. And so that's a really fascinating idea because we all have such a cloudy vision of ourselves, I think. I think there's very few of us who have that clear vision, but the support of those encouragers was phenomenal. If you can find people that believe in you, that lift you, that support you when you need it most, when you're in those crucial doubt spaces, that's manna from heaven. That's gold. That's the good stuff.
For sure. I would always say too, like, you're never going to enroll me in your limitations. You're never going to get me to believe in your smallness or what you can't do. I'm only here to believe in possibility and what you can and what you say is you desire and what I see possible for you. Everything else is bullshit. Can I say that? Bullshit.
Yeah, that makes you a good coach, Jess. Well, you told me you have a friend that has this quote that you love. You can borrow my belief in you until you can't believe it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or until you can believe it for yourself. Say, I've said it wrong. You should say it.
No, you nailed it. I think that's just it. A lot of people will say, oh, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Great. Well, you can borrow my belief until you do. You can borrow my belief in you until you believe it for yourself. Because there's also comes a point where I'm like, I can only tell you so much until you start believing it for yourself too. I will bring you to the water and you get to drink.
Yeah. And what if somebody says, well, I can't lie to myself. I'm really not that great.
Okay. What is true? I'll always be like, okay, well, what is true? Give me one example where you did something wonderful, where you did something above mediocre, So if we can't believe we're great all of the time, we all have one example where we were great once. So start there.
I don't think, we need to remember that we don't do life alone. Like we have chances every day to make a difference in people's lives. And so this one, I want to be an encourager because I was listening to something. I can't remember where I heard it the other day, but it was this gal that carried glitter in her pockets. And when her mom was doing laundry, she found all the glitter and she asked her, why is there glitter in your pockets? And she said, Mom, you never know when someone needs to be celebrated. I thought, oh my gosh, how fabulous is that soul walking around being ready to celebrate someone?
Yeah. And I think what I was thinking about with that story, number one, it's awesome. I have pom-poms. They're not at arm's reach right now at my desk to cheer for my clients. And it was inspired by a friend of mine, actually the same friend who has the, you can borrow my belief quote, having pom-poms to cheer them on. And when we think about cheering them on, it doesn't have to be pom-poms and sparkles and this over-the-topness. It could be something simple like, hey, good luck on that podcast today. Or messaging them and be like, hey, I know it was your kid's first day of school. How'd it go? I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but it's those little things that mean the most. Don't underestimate those little things you can do for people. How did that clearing conversation go? Lori and I were talking about clearing conversations in our last episode. How did that I knew you were going to have a tough conversation with that person. Before, I'm thinking about you. After, how did it go? And not even that it requires a response, that they just know you are thinking of them.
Absolutely.
There's this one thing in Brene Brown, I talk about her quite a bit, but her daughter, or Brene, has this quote where she talks about a marble jar, and it's about building trust. And I think building trust is building encouragement. And like every time you build trust, you put a marble in the jar. Every time you encourage someone, you put a marble in the jar. Every time you think of these little nuanced things and you reach out, hey, I heard this song and I thought of you. Like that encourages me. I'm like, wow, someone took the time to not only hear it and think it, but tell me about it. Like those are the people I want in my corner.
Right. Yes. And okay, this is why this topic is such a cool topic for me, and why I wanted to bring it up is because we can make history when we cheerlead at the crossroads of people's dreams. I mean, you realize, quotable.
Mic drop.
When you realize how much it means to you when at those moments somebody steps up. I had an event this week where I just had a real scare, and I called a couple of friends for some help, for some insight, for, asking for some favors and stepping up and supporting my family. And not only did they do that, but when they brought the things they needed to bring, the encouragement, it was, there was a card that said, you've got this, you can hand this. I'm here for you all the time. And, call whenever, and, just stuff like that. And here's the thing is, if you've ever been in a place where you're down, where you're not believing in yourself, or when you desperately need help or whatever, and those people have come to help you, the difference that it makes. And because you know that personally, you realize how powerful you can be in somebody else's life. I love
Yes.
some of the examples that you were showing. I did a thing on Facebook where I asked people what made them feel encouraged. So I took a poll.
Yeah.
They said, when people remind me of what I'm good at, like remind each other of what our gifts are, remind each other of our places in the world. So maybe you are where God needs you to be. You know, you've got this. You're where you need to be at this time and space. And, you know, sometimes just helping ground people. One-on-one time. That was a big one for a lot of people. They were like, if somebody wants to take the time to go on a walk, to look me in the eyes and be with me, that makes me feel encouraged. But things like letters or quick text or music, sharing a song like you were talking about, sharing a podcast, right? Like at the end of all my podcasts, I'm like, share this with somebody that you think would get something out of it. That's my ask. And that's it. That, you know, you're being an encourager. If somebody's going through a divorce and you send them an uplifting episode that helps give insights and clarity on how to make it through that, that's the support.
Absolutely. When my mom was sick, and people would reach out, how can I support you? How can I support you? How can I support you? I'm like, just asking how you can support me supports me. Also, completely hilarious and inappropriate memes to make me laugh always support me.
You know, another thing, Jess, that I think is just super easy way to encourage is the compliments versus criticism. Like when we see the good in people, it creates more good. So instead of feeling like we have to comment or judge or guide or whatever, to come in with seeing that good. You know how we were talking earlier in a coaching space, how we can just see what those people can do and what they've got going for them with our friends, with our family, with our regular people we're interacting with. If we focus on those and tell them what you see, that's a beautiful space.
And why is that uncomfortable for some people? Like, why wouldn't we be like, you know what, Lori, you're a powerful woman. You're awesome at real estate and connecting people with their dream homes. Like, because you're like, we just don't think to do that. And like, why wouldn't we? I have a sign here and it says, what we focus on expands. And if I'm focused on your strengths and what works, then it's what's going to grow for me. Conversely,
absolutely.
if I'm focusing on the things that don't work, then that's going to grow. So let's focus on what's working, and grow those elements.
And for us and for other people, right? It is going to expand for us, but it's going to expand for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I did want to mention too is have you ever heard of like Gallup poll has this thing, I think it used to be called Gallup, but it's called Clifton Strengths Finders now.
Yeah, we read that last year.
Oh, it's really good. And I took it, a little while ago, probably a year and a half ago or so. And my number one Clifton Strength Finder is called Woo. And I immediately think of How I Married Your Mother. And it's like, oh, no, wait, they called them the Woo Girls. And that was always the big thing, like, but anyway, I digress. Woo is a strength in the Clifton Strengths Finders under the influencing category. And it actually is an acronym. And what it stands for is winning others over. And yeah, so it's enjoying the challenge of meeting new people and winning them over. And for me, I easily, not everybody, but easily win people over by pouring into them, by seeing what's possible for them, and by encouraging them along the way. So I am definitely a Woo girl, and it is a number one piece of feedback that I get is the degree in which I like to pour into other people.
Yay. So you're the natural encourager. This is great that you're here to tell us how to do it. For all the listeners that have been on for years, I think it's been 2 years now since Life came out, my book, Life, Living Intentional and Fearless Every Day, the 21 Life Connection Challenges. And that whole book is full of these type of 15-minute things. There's 21 challenges that you take them. Mm-hmm. Well, challenge number 12 is give someone in your SOI, that's your sphere of influence, hearty encouragement for something they are doing. Do what you can do to forward their agenda. And basically, it's this life hack. You don't think about, well, I can't tell you in the past how hard it's been. Like you'll say, oh, can you hop on and leave me a podcast review? And everybody's like, yeah. And nobody does it. Right. And,
Yes.
and, this can be in networking groups. It can be wherever where people, there's a lot of lip service, but they're really concerned about their own sales or their own reviews or whatever. And it is so incredibly powerful to really look, what is somebody else's agenda? What do they need? How can I encourage them? And this is one of those tools truly that, besides building relationships, and like you said, influencing, connecting people, that type of thing that is great in business and obviously great in a personal life, but it also is it creates loyalty. When somebody actually gets outside of themselves and looks at you and says, this is important to you, you're putting your blood, sweat, and tears into this. I want to support you. I'm going to hop on right now and leave that review for you. And if we start looking at people that way, looking at how can we encourage and see them, not just what's convenient for me all the time, because I don't think service is convenient. I don't think oftentimes that encouraging necessarily is, because if we're caught up in our own minds and our own stuff. But the power that comes from doing it is rock solid relationships, people who trust you, people who love you, people who know you've got their back. Yeah.
Well, and I'm flipping through my book because my coach just said yesterday a powerful phrase, and I'm going to have to just misquote it to a degree because I can't find it, but it's, what is in the way is the way. So if time is in the way, taking the time to do it is the way. It's the very thing when we're like, oh, I don't have time for this, or it's going to be a lot of work, but that is the way to be creating the vision, to be creating the very things we want in our life.
Well, what we want on this episode is to drive home the point of the power of encouraging others. It makes the world brighter. It makes the world and us individuals, it helps us to achieve more. It helps us create relationships so much. So, of course, whether it's glitter in your pocket that you're going to throw for some spontaneous celebration, or standing for someone's dream, or a quick phone call that says you can do this, or I know you probably had a hard day, or sending them one of those take the world by storm songs, right? Whatever it is this week, your challenge is to find someone to encourage. Look at what's important to them and bring that to their front door. Want to end again with a review. Thank you for everyone who's hopping on and leaving podcast reviews. This is one from this year from someone called Natmosphere. Thank you for hopping on. It's titled The Power of Story. Lori and her guests demonstrate such courage and provide hope in every episode. I walk away feeling empowered, reminded of how our trials in life can become something that increases our strength and relatability. Love it. Thank you for taking the time to leave the review. And if you are a listener and haven't left a review yet, please, whatever your platform is, hop on and do that this week. Oh, hey, you could encourage.
I was just going to say, encouragement. Yes, that's the challenge. Sounds like a win-win.
Sounds like a little self-serving there, but hey, have a great week. We'll see you in 2 more weeks for the last 15-minute life hack.
Yes, bye.